Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're doing well. It's early Wednesday morning and the house is nice and quiet, so I thought I'd record a brief video. I don't really have a proper update to bring you. I still haven't finished any books. I'm about 50 or 60 pages away from finishing my book on the Black Death, and I continue to chip away at some short story collections by Stephen King and Thomas Ligotti. But more relevant to this video, I'm about two-thirds of the way through Don Quixote. Might be a little short of two-thirds, but getting close to it. And of course, I'm reading that with my friend Patrick from the Patrick's Book Reviews channel. I'll link that below. Patrick has much more insightful things to say about Don Quixote than I do at this point. He's actually read the thing before and has read some criticism, so he's coming from a much more informed place than I am at this point. But I've talked to you a little bit about my impressions as I'm reading through it. The surprisingly modern humor, a little bit about the characters, the metafictional elements, and some of the odd structural elements I've been surprised by. But now I want to talk to you about the supposed satirical nature of the work. I think everybody knows that the basic idea of Don Quixote is that the titular character is a Hidalgo, who is, how do you pronounce that? Hidalgo, or he's a gentleman, basically, Spanish gentleman whose brain has been addled by reading too many chivalric romances, and he decides he's going to go out and play the role of a knight errant along with his faithful so-called squire Sancho, who's just I guess you could say, dim-witted farmer from the neighborhood, and all kinds of mad hijinks ensue. And of course, everybody thinks this was Cervantes' attempt to write a satire of the old chivalric romances, and there's certainly that element to it. But as I'm getting into the second volume of the work that Cervantes published about 10 years after he published the first volume, I'm sensing something, I guess you could say, a little bit deeper going on, and I'll try to explain. Don Quixote and Sancho have sallied out yet again on another adventure after finding out that their exploits of the previous volume have appeared in a book, which actually is the first volume. This is getting very metafictional, of course. And part of the reason they actually go out is they're wanting to see if they can encourage the publication of more of their adventures. So, yeah, it's a little bit trippy in a way. But anyway, we still have our, I'll say, cracked Don Quixote, who often gets into situations that I'll say could put himself and others into danger for no good reason. So I don't want to valorize the character too much. But I'm finding more and more that I'm sympathetic, at least to his mission, what he hopes to accomplish, and the world he would like to see. And by that I mean I'm sympathetic to the fact that he wants nothing more than to serve others and basically to make the world a better place, even though his delusions sometimes make him go about that in an unfortunate way. And of course, he's been addled by these chivalric romances, and I suppose Cervantes, yeah, was making fun of those. And even that aside, if you look at the real world, the code of chivalry was oftentimes just a sick joke. I mean, even in this book about the Black Death I'm reading, I've read some circumstances where we found some ridiculous ways to get around the rules and just murder who we wanted when we wanted if we were so-called chivalric knights. So yeah, chivalry certainly wasn't what it was sold to be. But yeah, I'm sympathetic to Don Quixote in a way that the work, in addition to being funny and satirical, it's almost taking on a little bit of an elegiac or even melancholic tone as I get further into volume 2. And there are more and more characters meeting this guy who don't know quite what to make of him because he's this strange blend of idiocy, insanity, and wisdom. In the first volume, people tended to just see him as insane and kind of make fun of him more. But yeah, the tone is, at least to me, the tone is kind of shifting in the second volume. The work's taking on different dimensions I wasn't really expecting. And I ran across this quote here. This is Sancho talking to the so-called Squire of the Forest. He is a squire who is serving another so-called knight-errant, the Knight of the Forest. And there's more going on with these characters. I won't give it away. It's kind of a spoiler. But Sancho and this so-called Squire of the Forest have gone off to kind of have a bitch session, I guess you might call it, about what being squires to knight-errants is like. And I'll read you a little bit of this conversation. "There's no road so smooth," Sancho replied, "that there aren't a few potholes in it. And life is all toil and trouble for me, double, and madness keeps a greater retinue than good sense. But if it's true what they say, that it helps to share your problems, I'll find comfort in you, because you're serving a master who is just as stupid as mine." This is the Knight of the Forest replying. "Stupid but valiant," replied the Squire of the Forest, "and even more villainous than either." "Mine isn't like that," Sancho replied. "I mean to say he isn't at all villainous. He's as innocent as the babe unborn. He couldn't hurt a fly. He only wants to do good to everyone, and there isn't an ounce of malice in him. A child could make him believe it's midnight at noon, and it's because he's so simple that I love him from the bottom of my heart and can't bring myself to leave him, however many silly things he does." Yeah, that kind of reflects how I'm starting to feel about Don Quixote too. Sancho purportedly continues to follow Don Quixote because he hopes to gain materially by one of Don Quixote's adventures, but I don't know. I think he kind of takes off the mask for a moment there and shows part of his real reasons, maybe. Of course, I also have that cynical response in my head that kind of coincides with the Knight of the Forest here. "That's all very well, brother," said the Squire of the Forest. I'm sorry, it's early. "But if the blind lead the blind, they're both in danger of falling into the ditch. It'll be better for us to clear off at a good lively trot and return to where we belong, because those that go in search of adventures don't always find them to their liking." So, yeah, there's a danger in continuing to follow this guy just because you find him charming and innocent, even as he's getting into these crazy situations. But yeah, hope you got something out of that. I just wanted to share how I'm just continuing to find strange things in this work that I did not expect to find. And Patrick talks about it being his favorite novel. I don't know if I can go that far. I haven't even read the whole thing yet. Favorite is a strong adjective, but I'm certainly enjoying it a lot and certainly recommend anyone who's on the fence about it to give it a try. So yeah, hope you got something out of this rambling blab fest, whatever it is, and hope to speak with you again soon. Have a good one. Take care. Later days.
But am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?